Hello, I'm Nigel Barnforth of 5M Publishing. I'm delighted to have with me Carole Engle, who's of Englestone Aquatics. Carole, I wonder if I could ask you a couple of questions about the economic side of aquaculture.
Certainly.
What are the main reasons that you feel that economics are such an important aspect of aquaculture today?
Aquaculture to me really is a business, and to me the real aquaculturists are those who are farming and making a living from it and doing it. In order to do so, they need to be not just environmentally sustainable, but they need to be economically sustainable. They need to be able to generate enough revenue, not just to pay the costs, but to be able to earn enough profit for them to be able to save money for their children's education and to feel good about the amount of money that they're getting from the business, just as in any other business.
Okay. And what do you feel are the main challenges faced by farmers on the economic side at the moment?
Often with many fish farmers, there are some exceptions, but with many fish farmers, they get into this because they love to work with aquatic animals. They like to work with the fish or shellfish. Many do not have the business training to really develop a formal business plan. Many neglect to go and do a complete financial analysis every year, set some goals for the coming year, and seek that continuous financial improvement every year. For someone to be a bona fide business, if they're not willing to spend the time doing that themselves, they need to bring somebody into the business who is going to do that and keep an eye on the cash flow and the finances and keep that business on track and avoid getting into serious financial difficulty.
Mm-hmm. And what about the regulatory aspects? What kind of role do they play in the economic side of things?
It's a very interesting topic because in recent years that topic is really growing in importance. The regulatory environment in the United States and in the European Union and Australia seems to be becoming more intense in terms of more and more regulations that overlap. There are many redundant regulations. There are different agencies that impose regulations that often are requiring the same thing. So what we hear from farmers over and over again is that these regulations are increasing their costs, taking time away from the kinds of innovations that they need to be developing on their farm. In fact, we just completed a survey of the U.S. baitfish and sportfish industry specifically measuring these costs of regulations. It's, I believe, the first time anyone has really dug into how these regulations play out. It's costing those farms on average $150,000 per farm and $3,000 per acre to cover just regulatory costs. Those are huge cost burdens, yes. Yes, and the burden is much higher on smaller farms than it is on larger farms. So it's a very complex kind of a thing. The cost of the permit itself is a tiny fraction of what happens on the farms. The manpower cost, in some cases lost sales that they lost due to regulations in other states, are a big part of what these additional costs are on the farms. So it really is constraining development and growth, certainly in the U.S., maybe in some other countries.
Okay. And do you have any take-home messages for the industry?
You know, the best fish farmers in the world also need to pay attention to their finances, and if they're not going to do it, they need to bring somebody in to do it and look at cash flow and pay attention every single year. Even in a good year, they need to seek a little bit of improvement the next year. If they do that every year, they will be successful.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Carole.
Thank you.